Ash says hello. He made it a point to be in this video. I love you too, bud. Salutations, fellow nerds. I'm Rick Y, and today is February 18th, 2025, and I'm coming back from my camping trip with my daughter and doggos to see that my last videos caused quite the ruckus. I seem to have ruffled some feathers, so if you would allow me to explain with my better context and meaning, maybe you'll reconsider the point that I was making. While I've read much of the commentary that wasn't outright ridiculous, I'm still going to stand by my position on all of this. Now, let me extend an olive branch to those with whom I disagree. You're right about the idea that Harris lost on multiple fronts, from not having an evolved party policy from Biden's to not reaching out to the folks that she should have. There were strategic errors abound. I don't think that a lot of media was able to get through the noise of Trump and adequately detail Biden's extraordinary economic recovery while simultaneously shuffling investments internally with technology and infrastructure. But it would have been unfathomably beneficial to Harris to have appeared on Joe Rogan with the same zeal that she had for 60 Minutes. Trust me, I get all of that. But that does not mean that the powers and platforms who also help contribute to the situation that we're in today get a pass. There's a very real, cold, hard fact that many Americans need to come to understand, and that is our very binary voting system. I'm not in favor of it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to go over the realities of this world. I don't like it, and if you want my position, I would love to have a system not unlike Germany, where there are multiple parties that help influence social dialogue across the spectrums a little bit easier. However, in this country, establishment powers have done everything that they could to derail any form of competition. Currently, we don't have a situation where a third-party candidate will ever succeed, period. And anybody who chooses to abstain from voting, therefore logically and strategically speaking, ends up giving greater power to the opposition, to the incumbency, which, as everyone in the comments rightly pointed out, was Harris, given her closeness to Biden politically. If you say that she wasn't the incumbency ticket, but also say that she wasn't any better than Biden, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. And that said, I think it's best that we re-examine the points that I made when I said that the Young Turks helped Trump win from a foundation of agreement. And one thing that we can all agree on is that the Young Turks has a significant reach among younger progressive voters, many of whom were already skeptical of Harris due to her record as a prosecutor and her perceived lack of progressive policy commitments. Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uyghur's relentless criticism, even in situations where strategic unity might have helped, definitely contributed to an atmosphere where protest voting or voter apathy became more appealing, and in so doing created more people who were more than willing to use that as a justification for inaction. A lot of younger voters, particularly those in the progressive camp, already felt disillusioned with the Democratic establishment, and the Young Turks amplified those frustrations by constantly highlighting Harris's perceived failures without much emphasis on the alternative risks. For example, a Trump victory and a complete legislative control with the very real threat of Project 2025 in such a way that they felt the need to both cover it and downplay its gravity. They likely reinforced the idea that voting third party or simply abstaining was a valid form of resistance rather than a potentially self-defeating move. I'm not saying that the Young Turks single-handedly caused Harris's loss, but they helped shape the broader progressive narrative that she was unacceptable, even when their opposition laid bare their intentions. When enough influential voices push that sentiment, it creates a real impact on turnout and voter behavior. Protest voting doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's nurtured by the media people trust. And like I mentioned, you can yell from the rooftops that you didn't vote, so you weren't responsible, but that isn't how this game works. The only people who benefit from you not voting are the people who have been fighting voting rights for decades. One of the primary reasons that I hypothesize that complacency, not some newfound support for Trump, won the battle are the total vote counts. While it's true that Trump did gain 3 million more votes in this election than he did in 2020, there was a discrepancy this election in Democrat votes that exceeded 6 million from 2020. That means twice as many Democrats sat home or abdicated their roles in this completely voluntary democracy than the number of Republicans who decided to participate. Those are registered voters of those parties. So unless 6 million registered Democrats just up and disappeared since 2020, that's the math. The numbers show that as much of a walking cadaver as Biden was, he was supported by a margin equal to the population of the state of Missouri or Indiana. And then all of a sudden, that many Americans saw something in Trump that they hadn't in 2020. That seems unrealistic. It seems more plausible to me, whatever my opinion is worth, that it wasn't some overwhelming love of someone who has maintained a consistent, historically low approval rating, and instead a general lack of interest or complacent regard toward the very reality that we both warned of and now live in today. Indeed, even as more accurate vote counts came in, it was clear that Trump didn't win by some kind of mandate, as his popular vote margin was less than 1.5%. Only through lying to Americans that he's currently running roughshod against and general complacency demonstrated by those who would have otherwise supported the Democratic nominee did Trump seize this victory. This idea that anyone like the Young Turks didn't have some kind of sway in helping people feel justified in not participating is disingenuous, given their rhetoric over the past 3 to 4 years. Because I can say with absolute certainty that even back in 2016, had Bernie Sanders won, they would be screaming about how they helped usher it in with their platform. So now that they've helped contribute to Trump's victory, while also kowtowing to his base at Turning Points USA, Cenk Uygur genuflecting to how successful he thought they were in their little revolution. How's that revolution going, by the way, Cenk? The federal government is more powerful than it ever has been, and it's being led by the largest government contractor the United States has ever seen. Nice revolution, guys. The billionaires are fleecing the everyday Americans of their tax dollars and social benefits. Somehow they're successful because they got a hyper-capitalist populist and internment camps. I don't know about y'all, but I've never seen a goalpost move so far from where it started. The Young Turks isn't progressive, they're opportunistic. Cenk and Anna are whoever you want them to be. They'll take credit for their perceived victories, but refuse to take any responsibility for their losses. You don't have to like it, but the proof's in the pudding. If y'all showed up in the numbers that you did in 2020, none of this would be a problem. The only thing that would have pushed Trump to victory would have been the DEI for Republicans, the Electoral College. Don't dwell on it. Learn from it. Participate. This game is only rigged when you've been convinced not to be a part of it. Anyway, if you dig the content, drop a blue heart in the comment section, and if you'd consider liking and subscribing, it would really help this message flourish in a time it's needed most. You all see the trolls in the comment section. Remember, they vote. When you choose not to vote, you throw your support behind them instead of the power that could lead to your success. Your vote is deadly serious. If it weren't, there wouldn't be so many people trying to take it away from you. Remember, no single raindrop feels responsible for the flood. Thanks for watching. Y'all come back now. You hear?